Oh, what's up, man? Welcome back to the stream. Look, guys, I'm gonna be honest. They have a lot to talk about today. I have 17 minutes to get my shit together because we have a guest coming on. I have to like focus for. Guys, I think we're just coming to a head on the war stuff where something is going to clash, and I think Friday is kind of our day where these troops are getting there and they are either escalating. Trump's gonna tackle for real, or Trump's gonna tackle when it's not gonna work. And we're gonna get some fucking volatility. That's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get some fucking volatility is what we're gonna get, I think. And so I think we gotta get through the next couple, 3-4 days here. Fuck it, we're trading crypto until then. And the whole world is just on hold, man. So we're gonna get a VIX 40 day. We're gonna get a VIX 100%er in a day. It's coming, I can feel it. So I guess to just lock it and get ready for this interview. Guys, I haven't seen... What is this? Like, what's going on here with Jason Calacanis? What is he doing exactly? When is the last time you've seen this? I don't even know when I've seen this. I don't exactly understand what the game plan is here. He obviously has a lot.
There's something there that could compound to, a $500 billion market cap for, TAO, which would be roughly, if it's trading at 2 or 3 billion, let's put it at 2.5 billion. That's a 200x from here. That's my base case. Is I think we could be sitting here and TAO in 5 to 10 years could go 200x. Now you say like, well, how does JCal even come up with that number? Just historically, I've seen things of value when I see.
Oh, that was good closure. How does JCal come up with that number? He says, well, historically, look, you never want to be the guy. This is just, you never want to be the guy that's responsible for the thing going up. You don't want to be the guy ever. You don't want to be it. You don't want to be the guy. But somebody is always the guy. And Jason Calacanis has decided he's going to be the guy for TAO. It's good enough for me. I mean, it was good enough for me. It was good enough for me. It was good enough for me. That's enough for me. The last person that was the guy, it's good enough for me. The last time there was a guy, it was Naval. It was Naval with Zcash. And then it was Mert. It was Mert with Zcash. And they went, honestly, Zcash doesn't happen without Mert. The way that it curved. I mean, look at this chart real quick, just for scale of how ridiculous. By the way, I still really like Zcash. I think Zcash is a great coin. Look at this fractal here, just for like context of how ridiculous this pump was. We can go like right where it started, take it down a little bit to top wick. This thing pumped 1,300% on honestly infinite size. I mean, it pumped 1,300%. The thing about crypto that's so unique from any other asset class is outside of Bitcoin, what's the market cap of crypto? A couple T's, a couple trillion. I don't even know. 2, 1.5, 3. I don't even know. A couple trillion dollars. That's basically decided. Like the narrative is driven by like a couple hundred people, really. Because when you don't have earnings reports and all these fundamentals and all these revenue to fall back on, the whole thing just becomes a narrative game. I don't know. You know how it goes with crypto. It just like when things get it's just pure momentum memetics. And so when things like really get going, they get going. All right, let's get it. 1 second, sir. Let me get you full cam. And let me just adjust you. And boom! Mr. Const, welcome to the stream, man. How are you?
Very well. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you jumping on like 1 second notice. I know you're in a little bit of a weird time zone, but dude, my whole feed is talking about TAO. I'm streaming. Everyone's like, what is TAO? Please bring somebody on. And so I think we got the best person we could to come on and talk about it on no notice. So I appreciate you being here. Why don't you start? Give us a quick intro, who you are, what you do. Give me like a little bit of lore to set the stage.
Well, I was the first developer to work on BitTensor. I helped write the white paper. I spent many years of my life building BitTensor. I've been building it since 2015, which is a really long time.
2015, really?
Yeah, actually, like straight out of university. and I had the idea of the neural internet and how to mine intelligence way back then because I was actually I was doing my degree in computer science and mathematics, studying artificial intelligence. This was before AI was a thing, really.
Okay.
Like it was just the beginnings of deep learning.
And why
Like,
were you doing this? Like, how did that come across your desk?
Um, well, it's kind of interesting story. I graduated. I was really interested in something called neuromorphic computing.
Okay.
Neuromorphic computing is it's as the name sounds,
Uh-huh.
like the brain, neuromorphic. And I ended up working for this absolute genius named Alex Nugent, who started the DARPA Synapse program.
Okay.
It's a program out of DARPA where they were trying to build the brain chip. You guys have heard of Extropic, right? Like Extropic from
Okay.
San
Yeah,
Francisco.
it's familiar, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's like trying to make a thermodynamic computer, a computer that you just compute with electricity.
Whoa.
Um, and the idea is that like the modern machines, the CPU, there's this bottleneck between where we store information and where we compute on it. So when you want to do, let's say, a multiplication on your computer, you have to take information out of memory, put it into the CPU, and then do a multiplication and put it back.
Oh,
And that's not
it's Beth. It's Beth. Jesus.
bad.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
bad.
Beth. Hell yeah. Okay. 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 I thought it was familiar.
This is his. I'm basically, pumping Beth's company right now.
Cool.
It's really an idea, and basically the idea is that like this is the way the computers work right now, and they're very slow because that's not natural. It's actually completely unnatural for there to be a separation between the memory, the state, and the thing that operates in the state. And the brain is the best example of that, right? Your neurons actually encode the structure of the neurons, like the connectivity of your neurons is how you compute, and it's also where the state of the neural network is at the same time. And so when you're like, let's say, thinking,
Mhm.
all of your neurons are firing at the speed at which neurons fire, which is very fast, and all multiple trillions of them can fire at the same time, although that would probably kill you. But there's no separation. So there's one domain bottleneck, and basically I was working on that back in 2015. So it's really interesting to see Extropic blow up because it's like actually a very old idea, to build these neuromorphic chips. And in fact, Alan Turing, he was the first to propose this back in the
Whoa.
1940s. He envisioned this computer that was a neural computer where there was neurons and all these things. And he was one of the first to think of in this direction of making computers like the brain for the purpose of artificial intelligence. I was working on that after I graduated because it was pretty obvious that artificial intelligence was constrained. The bottleneck was compute.
Yeah.
And so if we could make things faster, and like that's what NVIDIA does, right? Like
Mhm.
that's why NVIDIA is worth so much money,
Mhm.
because they can make it faster and they're the fastest in the world. And they have these, $200,000 machines, GPUs that people pay a hell of a lot of money for just to get speed. Because if you can run more iterations, you can go faster, right? You can try more things. And anyway, so I was working for this guy and he was a Bitcoiner.
Okay.
He was a really interesting, genius guy that worked with DARPA and made this Synapse program to
Uh-huh.
build these chips and funded IBM and funded Intel and funded
Okay.
Qualcomm
Okay.
to build this. And he basically saw them build it and was so, depressed by their speed at
Uh-huh.
developing this chip that he went to start his own company and hired me as his first engineer. That's how
Okay.
I got into Bitcoin, because he was this cypherpunk with like 10,000 Bitcoin buried in his backyard kind of guy, and he paid me. And yeah, really, really awesome guy. And he taught me about like real Bitcoin, not like
Yeah. Yeah.
pumping out Bitcoin. He taught me about real Bitcoin. What is this about? Like,
Yeah.
what are the ideals behind it? And as a consequence, I got involved with crypto, and I was a machine learning engineer. And I was fascinated by, how is it possible that we were able to create this supercomputer in space, in cyberspace,
Yeah.
that was so powerful. And I was studying about how to compute with electricity, and there I was watching this economic experiment, this computational network
Uh-huh.
that is run by a form of electricity. Basically, that form of electricity is money. It's a mining network.
Uh-huh.
And so I put two and two together, and I was like, okay, we can compute with money. We can compute with electricity. An abstract form of electricity is money, and here's this example in playing out in real time in front of us, this supercomputer that is gargantuan and larger than I think that the idea is that Bitcoin is so big that even governments can't outcompete it in
Yeah.
terms of hashing power, right? So how did it achieve such an aim that like even the United States government can't
Mhm.
attack it? Like there's not that many things that can say that, right? Everything's underneath the table, right? Like OpenAI and Anthropic, they're all funded by the
Yeah.
American military. Like, there's very few
Yeah, this
companies,
is
very
crazy. Yeah.
that are like, I'm gonna be at the nation state level of computing. Um, and so I was like, wow, okay, we can do computation with electricity, we can do it with money. What exactly is that principle that allowed Bitcoin to be so fucking efficient
Uh-huh.
that like there's these super geniuses out there. Like I've met the guy from Ants, the guy who made Antminer. He's this Chinese guy.
I don't know what that is. Is
Um,
that, am I gonna get flamed for this?
yeah. Well, like this is like old school crypto, right?
Okay,
Like
okay.
this not to know about this, but there's like the hash wars that happened, and you know it attracted these super geniuses that basically won in the hashing game, right? And they won by being, they didn't have PhDs. They were not qualified for the job of being the largest compute providers
And so
in
how do they
this
win?
network.
How do they win?
Gosh, that's I think about this a lot. Like how do you win in a game that is perfectly competitive, right? You're a
Whoa.
superhuman.
Perfectly competitive.
You're like a superhuman player. You're a psychopath. I don't know. You're like Cristiano Ronaldo of mining Bitcoin. Like
Like at
what
what
is
though?
that?
Like what? Like Ronaldo's like 6'4", 40-inch vertical. Like what is your
Yeah,
intangible?
aesthetically, yeah, exactly. It's tangible. You can look at Cristiano Ronaldo and be like, well,
Yeah.
handsome,
Well,
hard, great
yeah. I meant soccer skills, but that works too.
soccer skills, physical, but someone like this guy who made the that took over Bitcoin, and in many cases many people that have taken over BitTensor in similar fashions is like they're just hard capitalists. Like they know how to procure and organize matter really, really well.
Yeah.
um
Organized matter
the
really well.
Yeah, and apply it to and so anyways, like so Bitcoin is run by all of these people. Like you may know people that mine Bitcoin, or like used to when it was a hobby,
Mhm.
but now it's this industrial process. Like it they seek out access to latent energy reserves in Paraguay, and because you're capable of moving across this border, you can get electricity price slightly cheaper. You go over here, and and so like that's all enabled by the permissionlessness and the global 24 hours 24/7 hyper competitive
Yes. Yeah.
monetary that is Bitcoin.
Okay.
And we were like, hey, let's take that to everything, and that's basically BitTensor.
Okay. So then, first of all, that was incredible. I've never heard you talk, so I don't know. I just like I saw you tweet, so and I was like, fuck it, let's get this guy on. I'd never really heard you like speak, so that was incredible. Let's start here and then we'll like work backwards. Can you give me the fifth grader explanation of what is BitTensor and why is it so special? And then we could dive into like the nitty gritty.
Cool. Yeah. You
I know,
always
I know,
ask
I
me
know.
this
Sorry, I know.
like I'm 5, and I'm like, oh dude,
I
I
don't know.
don't
What about when I'm
know.
like 24 and like a little bit slow? How about that?
I'll just explain it to like your audience, I suppose. I'll try explaining in a different way that I've explained it, using like modern terminology. Like you're following what's happening with like Karpathy's auto research, right? Like
Okay,
what's happening
high,
right.
like vaguely high level. You could break it
Oh,
down if you wanted to first.
yeah, okay. So like basically machine intelligence, like AI, used to be really complex. It used to be that people would sit down and they would try to write down the rules of, like, let's say chess,
Okay.
okay? And then they just gave up on that idea. And there's a famous essay called The Bitter Lesson where they're like, let's just
Bitter
throw
lesson.
compute at it,
Bitter lesson.
which means let's just try everything.
Just
And
force
then
it to fucking figure it out. Yeah.
whenever we find something that kind of works, we just do that a little bit more.
Okay.
And that's why the OpenAI and Anthropic and Elon Musk are spending billions of dollars on compute so they can run more experimentation. But like all of AI is basically just that loop. It's just try, did it work? Adapt ourselves. Try, did it work? Adapt ourselves.
Yeah.
And do that 100 trillion times per second, and eventually, you create. That's like the fundamental learning process of nature and AI. So, okay, why is that a relevant starting place? Because what do we see when you start doing that process? You recognize that the core problem is just defining the thing against which you use to validate performance. So you say like, okay, hey, like we did a bunch of things. How good were we?
Yeah.
That's the validation, right?
Yeah.
And then we adapt,
Got
right?
it.
So then we
Okay.
we push more into the ways that we're good, right? So BitTensor is basically that process. Okay, do a bunch of stuff, validate it, and then feed the thing that did well more money. So instead of using the computational substrate, which is in artificial intelligence, like say like genetic algorithms, you would mutate the genetic algorithms, that the genetic codes that are better at solving your problem. We would give them more money. And that's BitTensor is basically a machine for creating this like cycle of things try to solve the problem, we evaluate it, and then we pay them, and we just run this loop. And that's what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is basically people try to mine Bitcoin, and if they can mine it faster, they get paid money. Okay. So we took that idea and we've abstracted it. Okay, like what if we want to do that for everything? What if we want to build like a mining network for storing files, procuring compute, but also like training machine learning models. And this is where it gets interesting because those last two have been done in crypto, right? Like
Okay.
you Golem, Filecoin,
Okay.
right? EXEC, IONET, they're all basically the same idea, right? Like let's build mining for GPUs, let's build mining for storage, okay?
Uh-huh.
But they only do one thing. They only do one thing.
Yeah.
And so because we focused on that, basically that loop, that recursive loop of like incentive loop, you could call it, or like adaptation loop that's in AI. We basically abstracted that, the monetary adaptation loop, and we said, hey, go nuts. Let's go build a bunch of these things. We have this abstract version of it, so we can build all of those things at once. And like we made enemies with the render community because I tweeted randomly. I was just like, render's just a subnet on BitTensor. Like, Filecoin's just a subnet on BitTensor, and we made a lot of enemies because but it was true, right? It's actually true that all of those things are just instances of the same thing, which is a monetary feedback loop where you have people do things, you measure their performance, and you pay them money. And you can design that game in a whole bunch of different ways, right? We tried to build a framework for representing them based on basically machine learning. Like we used basically weight matrices and softmax and all these things, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that we built this abstract tooling called human consensus that allows us to do that in a trustless manner, right? So how do we build a mining network for anything in an abstract sense that can be trustworthy? So we can do it and that's really difficult because Bitcoin's very easy, actually.
Okay.
Bitcoin is the transaction is either cryptographically verifiable or not,
Uh-huh.
right? So the truth is
It's just
obvious.
one or two, right? 0, 1.
Binary outcome. But when you get into like, let's build a mining network for, like the subnet that I'm building right now is like, how do you make it so that all those really smart people that are mining Bitcoin are actually going to go out there and try to train machine learning models? And the performance of a machine learning model is actually really, really difficult to measure. It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of randomness. And so in the evaluation of a machine learning model, but this is why we have benchmarks in AI. We have benchmarks, but those benchmarks are standard, right? So we can basically take a benchmark and turn that into an incentive mechanism and have people train machine learning models that are good at the benchmark. So BitTensor is basically that process at the core level. That's what a subnet is. A subnet is this monetary feedback loop that we can apply to different things. And so the examples on BitTensor are like, let's apply it to training machine learning models across the web, where, hey, you run a node and we're going to measure how many flops of training you've done. That was what Templar did, basically.
Okay.
Follow me? I'm
Yeah.
kind of
No, I know. Please keep going. Then I'll try to like bring it. Yeah, keep
Okay.
going. Yeah.
So, but we can also do, like, let's say, measure the speed at which someone can inference a machine learning model. Like that's very valuable for like when you talk to OpenRouter or Shoots, which is the subnet, or like OpenAI. It is a really difficult problem of like, how do you do that really fast? How do you take an input and you give an output really quickly? And that's called inferencing. So we can say, hey, we'll pay you for the speed at which you can inference, or like the bandwidth that you can inference, and then we can turn that into a product. Because now we have the people out there not just going to secure the network in Bitcoin, which is useless, right? In some senses, useless. But we can have you doing this actual monetary problem of
why is it useless?
Why is Bitcoin mining useless?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't produce anything.
Got it.
It's not useless. I'm gonna get shit with the toxic.
I wanted the clip. I mean, you just gave me the God intro. I had to follow up. Yeah.
It's not useless because obviously it secures the Bitcoin network, right? So like it has infinite values, perhaps, but there are other things in life that have more tangible value, like storing files. Like how many files can you store? And these are kind of like not very interesting ones in some sense, but like they get more interesting when you apply this idea of feedback loops to things that are much more abstract.
Okay.
So example, don't provide me compute, because that's obvious, and then basically anybody can provide me compute, but I want you to develop software that works well against a well-defined benchmark, right? Like, and the example of that was Ridges or Platform on BitTensor, which they basically build coding agents. And those coding agents are evaluated based on how well they can solve coding problems.
Got it.
And so we can not only mine like raw commodities like GPU speed or like how many flops you can provide, but we can also build taking this primitive and apply it to actual software development. Now, this is where I started from auto research, right? Because I said, hey, this is the target of the day, Karpathy, genius. He applied auto research. The agents that just change code, and then we measure how well the agents did on changing the code, and we then just loop on that, and eventually you have this like process of annealing the software towards a better and better version of itself. And so we basically do that for all these problems.
Okay.
One of them is coding challenges, and that's also basically just the mining of software. So that, well, let me just finish the last part. So that's like the subnet level,
Okay.
and then BitTensor is a market of those subnets. And yeah, okay, maybe you want to.
So okay. So the way my brain works usually is I like bring it all in for like 3 days, and then at the end I spit out a finished product. But kind of how I'm understanding BitTensor right now is it's basically like the TAO emissions are like a reward mechanism of such to incentivize improvement or success across like defined metrics. So you would say like, I want this thing to be done very well, or like this parameter to be met, and you're like rewarding a subnet, I believe, as I understand, to like create and manifest said thing into the world well. And the better you do, the more emissions you're receiving. Like, is that correct? So you just have like 128 subnets that are all being incentivized with monetary TAO to like build X, Y, Z, A, B, C.
More or less. Like,
okay.
So let's go through like the stages of BitTensor so people can understand.
Cool.
Through its history, because it actually has changed a lot, right? We didn't do a pre-mine, right? So and that was really good because it gave us a lot of time to develop this technology. So like back in 2021 when we launched, there was just one subnet on BitTensor.
Wow.
And it was broke. And it didn't work very well.
Okay.
And it didn't produce anything. And we didn't really understand this art. We didn't really understand what we were dealing with. And it failed and it got hacked.
And so what was it? And why did they create subnet number 1? Like what?
We created it.
Okay,
and
you created it.
Created
and
to
what did
basically
it
The original version of subnet 1 was it's actually quite brilliant. And today maybe we could do it properly,
Run
but
it
back
back.
then far out. But basically, it's a cool idea. Basically, the miners in the network produced what's called an embedding, which is basically just a tensor. A tensor is a long list of numbers
Okay.
that represent text, or basically anything, but in this case, text in a numerical form,
Okay.
where that numerical form is basically in the center of a neural network. Like when you put text in, you get text out, but in the center, it's all numeric, and that's called an embedding. Basically it passes embeddings
Okay.
through the layers of the network. And so we said, hey, let's build a mining network. Let's build a Bitcoin mining network for information theoretic value, which is a mouthful. Basically, how valuable is the vector that you can produce if we were trying to solve problems in language?
Okay.
And this was
Okay.
like this is before ChatGPT.
Yeah.
This is like for the AI people in the crowd, like this is like Bert and like
Yeah.
Roberta,
Okay.
like old school transformer stuff. And so it turns out that like that's possible to do, but we were just really not prepared to do it properly. So we switched to something else. We built another network that was based on you query the miners, and they would answer, and then we would basically use another machine learning model to evaluate how good the answers were from the models.
Can I ask you a
That's called
quick intermission? Is like, what benefit would subnet number 1 being good contribute to BitTensor,
yeah.
the top
So,
layer?
if I were doing the industry of AI moves so fast,
Yeah.
right? And one of the benefits is that because we have this abstracted layer, we didn't build into the substrate of the chain exactly what we were doing. We
Cool.
just could then switch out to another thing. Thank God, because if we built it in Rust in substrate, we would have been fucked, because
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
fast. So at the time we were working on basically these embeddings. Now, if I were to do it now,
Yeah.
I would frame it as doing basically like context embeddings, or like basically take. It's still actually a field right now that's useful. Like if you look at Pinecone and other industries, like the OpenAI serves embeddings, right? If you want to like if you want to take your whole code base and then put it inside of what's called an embedding database, which you can then like search really quickly with LLMs, you embed the data, and that means you send the data, and then you get these embeddings, and these embeddings they encode like dense information about what was given to you, but it's also a compression. It's basically a numerical compression. Okay. So if I were to take that subnet and rebuild it, which I'm not doing, so I guess I wouldn't, I would still train it to be producing embeddings very quickly and incredibly dense in information, because that would be valuable to things like Pinecone if you're making an embedding database. The way that BitTensor subnets work is that basically in order to gain access to these subnets, you need to have a fair amount of stake in them, right? And so that's what creates the economic game. So like the token represents access in some sense, in some way. The people that have the token are the people that can gatekeep the network, and therefore they can monetize it. And so if you were to try to build a subnet around that, which maybe somebody will do, you would then build like a website and an API service for people to query, try to make money. And so now that subnet would have its own token that is paired with a Uniswap pool, TAO.
Got it.
And that's what creates the demand side for TAO, basically. It's like a flywheel.
Got it. And so the main benefit of the success of subnets is paired with TAO, more demand on TAO price, more value to compete for future admissions. And so every subnet, there's 128. Is that true? I make that up?
There's 128.
Okay. Every subnet like exists in a silo and is doing its own thing, completely unrelated to what anyone else is doing by default. And everyone is basically competing for, in theory, increasingly valuable TAO emissions.
Yes. And okay. And so
is there any like pairing process where everyone's contributing to like BitTensor, the like top hub, or is it strictly like a financial faucet?
This like integration aspect is really interesting. We didn't build the mechanism to require integration. So like I build this embedding thing, like does it help this guy?
Yeah.
It seems to be epiphenomenal that people, as in like it's a consequence of the system itself, like the ecology of BitTensor, that they work together. So like everyone builds off Shoots because Shoots provides a really good service for both producing mechanisms, in the sense that like if somebody solved this really hard problem of doing verification of this thing, I can now use that as a subunit for my thing that does verification of something at
Got
a
it.
higher level. And then also he's my friend because he's also, you know, backed by Tao and we're in the same ecosystem. So, you know, we're all bedfellows here. And so like that tends to work out in practice, but there's no actual mechanism in BitTensor that enforces that. So we had, you know, one subnet, then we had two subnets, then we had three subnets. They were all built by the foundation. Then we opened it up so other people could build the foundation, the
Got it.
subnets, and then we tried to basically manage it with like an oligarchy and people voting. And this didn't work. And we always knew it wasn't going to work. And about 2 months into doing that, we were like, let's switch to DTAO.
Okay.
And dynamic TAO was basically the idea that what we could do is build an actual market for the tokens and use market dynamics. Like basically people are going to buy the subnets that make sense, make economic sense, and they're not going to buy the subnets that don't make economic sense. And they're going to buy the subnets that are aligned with BitTensor's future because they hold Tao and they have to buy it with Tao and things like this. And so we took all the subnets, we gave them a token, and then we paired them with Tao. And then we have a mechanism basically to measure how much Tao is going in and out of the pool, and that incentivizes the subnet not only to, you know, get more buy pressure, but also ultimately to constrain Tao. So we're minting 7,200 Tao per day, but it's all being put into the subnets that are the most constraining of Tao. So like if your subnet can't keep it together, it's just leaking Tao, you know, ultimately you don't get any more emission. And so we have this sort of like structure in BitTensor where the system itself directs the emission of the inflation of Tau itself to the places where they can constrain it, where they can keep it locked in the pools.
Got it. And so what happens, like we're still pretty early in the like a third of the way through emissions less of like where are we third?
Like 11 million Tau,
Cool.
so we're just over half.
What happens at the end? What happens at 20 and a half when we get close to 21? Like how is the network of Tau evolve when we basically chase the final form of emissions?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's a similar question about Bitcoin. Like, so how does Bitcoin?
I was gonna ask you that one next. Honestly, what do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I have always believed that like you're building basically a nation state with a cryptocurrency, and the pump and dump schemes don't make any sense for crypto because they don't have any time. Like this is why you shouldn't sell out to VCs huge supplies. This is why you shouldn't go and try to get market makers. This is why you don't need to get on exchanges, because you should be in this for the long game, because it's going to take time to develop the ecosystem, to develop the mechanisms, to develop like the liquidity, to develop the miners. Like these things basically are organic, and they need to grow. And so like Bitcoin, I'll answer that second question first. It's like, so Bitcoin's idea is like, hey, after 104 years, that's how long they were thinking, right? This technology, which we're pretty sure we made perfectly, is going to be foundational to the world economy.
Yes.
And it's going maintaining control over it plus transaction fees. And I actually think that the control over it is actually going to be more important than the transaction fees in the future of Bitcoin. Will be worth a lot of money, enough to sustain it past the emission schedule. So the idea is that basically Bitcoin's not even there yet. Bitcoin is just being birthed. Like it's only like 15 years into being birthed.
Yeah.
Really, it's good. It's only really truly galloping as it is after 104 years or something like that. It's kind of the same thing with BitTensor. Obviously, we want to go a bit faster. The first question is with Tau. So like once Tau emission goes to zero, the subnets should be incubated, because that's not going to happen for 50 years, 60 years, right? Like a long time, maybe 104 years as well. So it's going to, at that point, the subnets have functioning markets. They're fully paired with TAO,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like it's the United States dollar of these crypto projects, right? So everyone, the network center, everyone's largest liquidity pools are with TAO, and so like basically TAO survives. But the question is, okay, what happens with the subnet tokens, because they also have 21 million, and so but they need to pay their miners. And like the idea is that like if you get it to that point, which is not very many are going to get to that point. But it's like after decades, or not even decades, really, I could see this happening with some subnets already. Potentially, it will happen in much more in the next 10 years. Is you start to actually not need the subsidy, but you pay the miners directly in the token, because people like right now they're on a subsidy.
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
in like
yeah, 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 yeah.
printing to pay just keep them alive, but eventually like the system is mature, and in the same way that Bitcoin is mature, and you pay them in the token to continue doing what they're doing. So people that want to access need to pay, right? And so there's no subsidy anymore, and like that's basically how how I see Bitcoin working, and also how I think BitTensor will work as well.
You're a full-fledged Bitcoin maxi as well, huh? I love that.
I mean, yeah, like
I love that.
how can
How
you
can you
not?
not? How can you not?
It's so disrespectful. I like honestly, I like I don't know, maybe I just like raised differently, but it's like walking into your grandfather's house and fucking clocking him in the face or something and being like, I'm faster than you, grandpa. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you piece of shit, like you
Yeah, fuck
loser. I
you.
went through World War II for you. You know what I mean? Like, and I hold the wisdom of the whole industry, and not only that, but like Ethereum can be captured. Ethereum has a founder. He's a guy. He's got ideas. He's like they can take him out, but they'll never take out Bitcoin. It was built to be immutable, and as a consequence, and I think people take this for granted, governments are just forced to deal with it. There was experiments with Bitcoin style things, right? It's like was it Die Money or B Money and BitGold, right? They were just destroyed because they were centralized. And that was what governments usually did with people to try to create currencies. But Bitcoin, by its nature, and because it's this massive shield, and it is impenetrable. It is impossible to take out without just mining it and overtaking it. It's opened up the space for us to explore and work with the power of money, like the language of money. Basically, no one was ever in history allowed to actually write with money, except for like the Medicis and the bankers, right? Like now, if you can just be an individual and you can use this language that's like a coding language of money. Yeah, and like and thank God for Bitcoin. So, and if Bitcoin goes, they're coming for you. So why would I want to be better than Bitcoin? That's retarded. And it's also kind of like we're obviously building on the top of it, in the same way that I made an analogy in my post. Is like Telegram doesn't say "fuck you TCP." Like they use TCP. Like they're built on TCP. It makes no sense. And so I've always found that like it's really embarrassing when people have come out and they love that kind of tweet. Like, oh, ETH is bigger than Bitcoin, and it's like, humble yourself a little bit.
Okay, wait.
Right?
I had like 4 things I was gonna ask you, but you kind of like throw me no choice at this last question here. Is like, I mean, Jason Calacanis is like on Twitter talking about BTC or TAO over BTC, which has to be a weird feeling because on one hand, it's like probably everything you ever wanted is all these eyeballs and attention and capital on top of BitTensor, but on the other hand, based off what you just said, he walked into his house and like punched your grandpa.
Yeah, I mean that's why I responded. But like it's an open network. It's permissionless. You can you can make it your own, and it's not just about think. And so, hey, more power to you. That's what you think, but like it just creates drama, and I think that like he's doing that on purpose. He's a guy like that likes attention, and that's a great way to get attention. And but it's not what I believe. And I think that my opinion matters more than his, probably at the end of the day.
That was good. Okay, this might be I might have just like missed this, but Can you explain what makes BitTensor inherently like AI and artificial intelligence adjacent? Because at least how I would understand BitTensor in layman terms, it's like you could utilize emissions to incentivize anything per se, right? Like the subnets could essentially, I don't know exactly how it works, but I would
Yeah.
imagine, in, like the way you explained it, it could be anything. Why is it AI, decentralized AI? What is the AI tie-in to BitTensor?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had the problem with this because it's people are like, oh, is it crypto applied to AI? Or is it AI applied to crypto? Or, are they actually just kind of one and the same thing? And I like to sit in that space because the truth is that it- basically we took ideas from artificial intelligence, like the structure of these like feedback loops and like how to think about it like a machine learning engineer, and then we took the ideas of crypto and we basically put them in, right? So and this new thing in the center is neither crypto nor AI, because it's monetary computing, you could say, or like incentive
Monetary
compute.
computing. Yeah.
And but okay, so then in the technology is AI crypto and
Yeah.
it's crypto AI. It doesn't actually, like, AI itself is just a bunch of tools, but it applies to everything, right? So you use AI to do robotics and farming and language and statistics and everything and computer science and business. You apply this tool to all things,
Yeah.
and like are in the same way that you can apply, and basically when you can apply, the reason you can apply it is because it's like abstract, really powerful tooling
Mhm.
for solving problems.
Mhm.
And so we built this abstract, really powerful tooling for solving problems that's like AI. It has very similar artificial intelligence qualities, and therefore we can apply it to all these things, including AI, because why? It's the hottest thing in tech right now, and it's
Yeah.
also the fastest moving thing. So obviously we're going to apply it to AI because there's so much demand for commodities and things like inference,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you can take it to everything else. Crypto invented for the first time, right, in human history, the ability to write with money, and to build AI systems with money, and so therefore, obviously, crypto is part and parcel of what we built, and but yeah, it's neither.
I was honestly a beautiful answer. I guess like a follow up on this is the way you see it. I know it's this open network, but if BitTensor played out exactly how you could imagine it in your grand vision, like what does that look like? Like what of value would be created from BitTensor that you would see as like a success case?
Mhm. Well,
And I know it's a brutal
there's
question, but I just like what direction do you want this thing to head?
we're beginning to see in like the beginnings of, say, like subnets on BitTensor that are like fully self-contained functioning economic systems, right? So you can bring compute, you can provide it in this permissionless market, and you can make a little bit of an edge with the token, and that makes sense, and that's exciting, right? So that, like, we can have these permissionless markets for all sorts of different things, which is valuable and lowers the price, and
Yes.
that's cool. But like that's not really that compelling. Like the finance angle and like just, oh, let's make things cheaper and more
Yeah,
efficient. We spend a lot of time doing that, obviously,
of course.
because it doesn't matter if you have this grand vision if it doesn't work, right?
Of course,
So
of course.
it works, right? Like people, thousands, millions of people use BitTensor's inference and compute and things like this, and like that's fantastic. And I'm really happy that we can provide that. But there's another angle to this too, which is that we're not just trying to be fast and efficient. We're not just trying to be Bitcoin mining applied to things for the good of Bitcoin mining. We also believe that like when you build systems like this, when you build, say, like a neutral technology like Bitcoin, that many people can hold and own and contribute to and build on top of and see transparently what is built it's built of,
Mm,
and actually critique it for its structure
mm.
in and out, in the way that you can do with decentralized technologies. Like that is the bosom that we should be developing artificial intelligence in. Like that is the womb for proper aligned AI, not in a centralized lab that you can't tell who owns it or
Yeah, yeah,
what their
yeah.
and like you can never work for it, and you're always just going to be suckling off the teat of this AI Elysium Borg thing, right? That we don't know if it's like Epstein aligned or not, but you would never know because
You
it's
never
not
know.
transparent. that's not transparent, and you can't own it. It's a closed round, and like you can never contribute to it. You can't go there. They don't want to hire you. You don't know how it works. Like that is just a recipe for, I think, a really, really disastrous outcome for this like machine god that we're building, right? We're building this machine god. Is this machine god going to be this, top down totalitarian? Like I think that the real risk is basically Elysium. Have you seen the movie Elysium?
No,
Right?
no. I have to go
You know
watch
what?
it. No. What is it?
It's a sci-fi, and it's
Elysium,
Matt
there it
Damon,
is.
and basically it's this future world where the whole world looks kind of like Gaza,
Okay.
right? It's
Okay.
just destroyed, and the elites live in this space station where they have access to like better medical technology
Yep.
and robots.
Okay.
And like this is the vision for the Silicon Valley elite, right? Because they don't have the tools for anything else, so they just imagine that they want to be the people that are
Yeah.
own everything.
Yeah. Pick the
and
ladder
rest
up behind you, right?
Yeah, and there's like no agency for the rest of us in their vision for the future. And they'll have like Elon Musk will have a robot army to himself. He will be a trillionaire, and you will not participate, and you will own nothing and be happy or whatever.
You own
And
nothing
like,
and be happy.
yeah.
So can this
But
decentral? Finish. Sorry. Finish.
no, it's okay. Like I think you get the point. Like
Yeah.
we can just build it differently. And like two paths that people want. Like one is the centralized labs, and the other one's like government oversight. And the government oversight is just not going to work because it's really inefficient.
Yeah.
And the centralized labs are just winning because they're faster. But there's no openness. There's no shared control, and you just can never participate. Whereas like anybody who's watching this thread right now can just go out and join our Discord and mine BitTensor and become a successful person inside BitTensor. Participate in like give us your humbled masses. You need to be free. Like you can come and just join BitTensor and become a board of directors, right? Like you can just become important in this ecosystem, and there's no way that you can do that with a centralized lab.
So the unfortunate story with AI or with crypto, at least as it relates to AI, is it's always like in Silicon Valley, artificial intelligence, they build this like really cool thing, and it's like, hey, crypto kids, go play with like the retard light version. Like, cool. Peter Steinberger builds OpenClaw, and then we're like trading OpenClaw meme coin on fucking Solana and 10 mil, right? And so the question is like, okay, BitTensor, you could participate in building this like open and decentralized, AI future, but like, can you actually compete at a serious, meaningful level? Like what does that look like? How can you actually compete? You can participate, fuck it, but can you compete?
Right. Well, okay. So just take Shoots. It's one of the top systems of BitTensor. Was for a very long time. So they built this perfect market for compute where you can, like the miners bring the compute and you inference them and you get the outputs, and like that runs OpenClaw as an example, or you can build your agent or code with it as an example. So they were getting the fastest tokens per second on OpenRouter on a whole bunch of open source models, and at the cheapest price. And not just the cheapest price, like because they lowered the price, but like economically, they were able to get the lowest price when they looked at the price they were paying per H200 hour. Okay. And why was that? It was because, let's say that you want to go become an inference provider, where somebody that has a bunch of compute and you play this game. You can't actually compete against the like this like liquidware economic system where basically if at every moment in time, if you're not as good as the next guy, you just get kicked from the network, and the better guy who can run infrastructure and do it for cheaper comes in. So you build this inferencing providing company, and then you want to like rest on your laurels and like take a bit for yourself. Well, the market takes a long time to cut that away, that inefficiency, but we do it instantaneous. We do it every hour, right? Every hour we're remeasuring and replacing and remeasuring and replacing. And so this like hyper annealing towards efficiency is where we are able to get, the compute for way cheaper and the inference very fast if we can measure that properly. And so, we don't just talk a big game and don't do anything. Like we were serving at one point the largest number of open source model tokens on Open Router for like a whole 6 month period. It was just shoots, and we were doing that by this competitive game that was allowing us to do it for really cheap and really efficiently. And that's just one narrative. That's just one narrow band. But then like you apply that to everything else, like building like coding agents that are really good at solving problems. I want to asterisk here because it's like really difficult to do this. Like
Yeah.
it's a much harder problem to do what we're doing. But when we get it right, it just goes way faster, and it's way more efficient. And so we can compete. We can actually just like always win if we can define the problem better than them, because we can just consume theirs and put it into ours and then beat it, and it just goes faster. And corporations tend to just stultify and die because people don't want to work. But when you're fuck the miners on BitTensor, they have to work, man, and they do. And so like we've proved time and time again. There was a good period like in 2024, we were just crushing benchmarks everywhere. We were crushing benchmarks on fastest searching, fastest bettings, fastest AI, best AI detection, best like 3D generation, best.
Yeah.
Every single one of has something that they're the best at, and you go and you become the best at it, and then you try to monetize it, and sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, we're probably one of the only cryptos that can say that, like that we actually do things that are state of the art. And I think that like we will continue to do that. So we have the best, the largest decentralized training run in the world. We have the largest decentralized model ever run. We have the best algorithms for it. The miners are doing it the most efficiently and the most effectively. And then I think it's really just going to continue in that direction. And so we just need honestly time, because nothing's going to happen fast. But yeah.
How does that like acceleration curve work once, like you said, it really starts working? Like how like violent is that?
Well, yeah, it's like the thing about incentive mechanisms is that they're very hard because they're permissionless. You don't control everything. There's so many ways to exploit them. There's so many ways to cheat. And so you have to get very, very precise about how you define the metric of success in a way that people can't just like say copy the answer, like as an example. But when you do, it's kind of like aiming this massive laser cannon, and you finally get it in the line, and then boom, it explodes something. It has this kind of quality where there's the 0 to 1s, always 0. It's like it's not working at all, and then it's working all in an amazing way. And so that's often like if you're looking at subnets, they may have a really good idea. The incentives might not be aligned properly. If they can get the incentives aligned, they'll have success very quickly, like in whichever domain they pick.
What are you the most excited about right now? Like you're working on a subnet, BitTensor. I mean, I don't think it's fair to say you're getting a lot of attention right now because you've honestly had it for a while. But what are you like? I don't know. You're kind of a fucking Chad. I was gonna glaze you when you got off, but you could clearly. I mean, you could work out whatever you wanted, I'm sure. And so, what are you like the most excited about and like trying to solve like with BitTensor and like in the world? I don't know.
Oh, good question. I have a lot of projects going. Wow, interesting. One of them, I think that we need to solve, and like we're trying to solve on BitTensor, and I think we will solve it, is like human identity in an open source way. Rather than the orb, like let's build open source software that can do human detection, and human and uniqueness as well. So like we can build like identity systems that are open source. I think that's really cool. And
why did WorldCoin fail? Not to just throw you off.
Because everyone hates them. Like you can't get funding from Sam Altman, the guy who's trying to enslave us, and then pretend to be like, we're freedom technology.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do? I don't know. Like, it just seemed odd, and like the orb was so dystopian.
Was yeah, brutal.
Well, why would you do it like that? And then the technology is actually really good, though. Like the guys were really smart.
It works, right? I always tweet this whenever some weird shit happens. There's like a parallel universe where WorldCoin is like flip Bitcoin,
Yeah. Right. Isn't that a testament to this industry? Like that we actually, people fucking hate crypto people.
Yeah, so bad.
for good reasons sometimes, but also like deep down, we're freedom fighters, and that's why WorldCoin didn't work, is because we're permeated by people that actually believe in freedom. You know what I mean? Like that is actually who we are, and that's not an AI, by the way.
Yeah.
The AI people who think they're so hot and high and mighty, they're just normies. They're all blue church people. I love them to death. They're all very smart, but they're not freedom people. They don't really grasp geopolitics. You know what I mean? They don't really understand, and they don't really care. They're just gonna go work for the Borg and make their money and live and play their board games. But the crypto people are like, we're renegades, man. And so you can't try to do WorldCoin on us. It's not going to work. So anyways, but the human thing is a big thing. Like taking decentralized training to like 1 trillion parameters is really the end goal for Templar. And then like I'm currently, what I'm trying to do is basically stitch all of the summits together with agentic. Basically, like you've seen what's happening with auto research and like what people can do with their open clause. Well, BitTensor is like moving into a new era where it's the perfect ecosystem for agents, because you can play every side of it. So like a machine learning model is now at the point where it's like an AI can mine BitTensor and also build subnets and trade it and like buy the commodities that it needs directly from the chain. And so it all starts to really integrate as an ecosystem with agents. You say, here's a TAO wallet, go run some compute, get some inference, store some files, go mine BitTensor and make money to fund the whole thing, and then make a subnet to do what you want. And like that's, crypto is the perfect place for agentic, the agentic world. And like what I'm excited about is basically you doing that myself. Like I can now just run 10 companies with AI agents, and like that's what I'm excited about, using it to speed up BitTensor and like build a BitTensor.
That was beautiful. I know it's late for you. I kind of want to ask you like a sign off here. I think we hit like most of the BitTensor stuff. I want to ask you like a crypto question. I wasn't expecting you to be like so cypherpunk and like just have great takes on crypto. You're really optimistic about crypto? I'm really optimistic. Crypto changed my life. I would not be here without crypto. I came in through NFTs. I have like a different origin story. I came into trade, stayed because it's fucking awesome here. But you're building and working on, the future, and I'm trading, and most stuff here is slop and garbage. So when you trade a lot of slop and garbage, you tend to get pretty fucking cynical, taking into account where we are right now, where the market is, and then maybe like, where AI has gone, where it feels like a lot of talent is fleeting, running away. We get like the light version. And so I think a lot of the trading side, I'm not even sure how much you interface with this cohort, is very cynical, is very jaded, and questioning, was it all just a vehicle for BlackRock tokenization and Bitcoin's an Epstein pedo coin and we all just die and lose? Like, where 2026, like, you were here 2015 mining Bitcoin, you had the ethos, cypherpunk, freedom fighter. 2026, what keeps you so obsessed and passionate about crypto? Because you're like a dying breed, if you will.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I've been in the industry since 2014, 2015, and like I've seen a number of bull runs, right? And like and people get so exuberant, and then you get all these just assholes show up, like the frat boys show up, and they just ruin it, and then they lose a bunch of money, and then they're disenthralled, and then it's a great breath of fresh air, and then it comes back, and like obviously there's like cycles. And like what keeps me going is what kept me going from the very beginning is like Bitcoin's vision of a fair monetary future, like one where governments are tethered to a system that they can't manipulate through war, right? It's like, what are we seeing right now in the world, right? We're seeing people trying to fight for the dollar reserve currency. Like the number of people that have died because the only way to win that game is through violence. And Bitcoin comes along and says, hey, we can build it so that they can't take that away from you. You'll always be able to have this digital currency. You'll never be able to inflate it away, and they can't steal it from you. You can store it in your mind. You can transfer across the globe. Like that never died for me. And people always like they speculate, but like it was Epstein involved. Like, who cares? If you're smart enough to read the code, you can see how it works, and it's not doesn't say anything about Epstein in there. Like you can just like it doesn't matter if Epstein, if Satan himself made Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin is inherently good. It's inherently a freedom technology. It doesn't matter who made it. And but most people just they can't understand it. So they're like, they're playing this game where they're like, oh no, a bad person is involved, therefore it must be evil. And not that I think that Jeffrey Epstein was in any way involved, but even if he was, is what I'm saying. Like that vision has never really changed. And so okay, Bitcoin enabled this whole future where we can play with money, right? And Ethereum invented this ability to build smart contracts, like which was a classic financial idea in a decentralized and a trustless way. And like that still exists and is still going to be the place where a lot of the digital web is the Web3 web is living is in Ethereum, and I'm a big Ethereum fan as well. But like also I think that we eventually are going to draw the attention of like real researchers that see what we're doing at BitTensor and understand like this is real technology, like this you can compute with money. And so none of that changed for me. So if you were like into pumped off fun, like yeah, I guess like that's not really it. I guess maybe it is, but if you were disenthralled with it dumping, then like I don't know. I think that was you're kind of setting yourself up. Like if you thought that was going to go to a billion or whatever. So I don't know. What do you think?
Dude, I think you're incredible. This is like why I love crypto, and I've been spending so much time talking about fucking oil and everything else that this was like a breath of fresh air. You were the first person to contribute to BitTensor white paper 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And so how many people actively work on like BitTensor versus like subnets separate from that? How many people actively work on like BitTensor?
Not that many people actually.
Do you actively work on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I stepped down from the foundation as the CEO because I wanted to just participate in the network and being in this like central figure, and like you can't have any fun. Like I can't mine because people will like conflict of interest and things like this. So I've stepped down. But I'm always contributing. People know my opinion for sure.
Hey,
if that makes sense.
What's the painting behind you?
The painting?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, just
a rental.
Okay. I thought you gotta have some sick story for me. Dude, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate your time and you coming on. I know it's late in Europe. Is there anything you wanted to like sign off with, or I was really supposed to ask you that I didn't ask, or yeah?
I watched you talk to Sammy, and I got a lot of invites on podcasts today, but I wanted to speak with you because I just really like your show and I like your vibe, and I think you're a dope person. Yeah.
Oh, that's you saw the Sammy interview. That was awesome. Someone said to me, we did in November, which was actually funny. It was a while ago. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, that was sweet. And anyways, I just think of a great vibe, man. So like, yeah, let's keep crypto going because we need to.
Sick. I'm gonna DM you some stuff when we get off, just like when questions come up, because yeah, I think you're sick. Is there anything you want to like direct people to? Any links you want to share? Substack, your Twitter's linked. They have it, obviously. Is there any place you want to send? Hey, people fuck with you. Like, is there any place you want to send people?
The BitTensor Discord. Go try to mine a subnet. It's really fun.
Sick. Const, by the way, pronouncing it right, yeah?
Yeah, Const.
Yeah, dude, like absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll talk offline, and this was a lot of fun, dude.
Awesome, dude.
All right, brother.
Thanks,
have a good night. Peace.
Bye.
All right, where are we at with oil? It's looking like the taco of all tacos has happened. 6% candle down. Okay, oil tumble stocks surge as Israeli TV reports imminent 1-month ceasefire announcement. It's just that one headline. It's just a headline, really. U.S. seeks 1-month ceasefire with framework to end the war. It's just one headline. Whoa, here we go. All right, lock in. A ceasefire for a period of 1 month By the way, we stopped paying attention to war for like 1 second and everything happens. A ceasefire for a period of 1 month will be announced according to a mechanism that Witkoff and Kushner are working on. According to AI, I think Israeli Channel 12. That's where the news came from, is Israeli Channel 12. No Trump. No Trump? Stop. No Trump, no Netanyahu, but Israeli Channel 12 is our news source on this. Really? This is why we stopped longing oil. No, I know those guys don't negotiate, but like the announcement doesn't come from Trump himself claiming victory, anything. All right, here we go. According to AI, the U.S. aims at a month-long ceasefire. The agreement with Iran is very similar to the understandings in Gaza and Lebanon. A 15-point agreement will be negotiated during the month of a possible ceasefire. The 15 clauses of the agreement with Iran. 1. Automatically cancel the threat of reimposition of sanctions. Dismantling Iran's existing nuclear capabilities. That's huge. Agreement with Iran. Iran vows to never seek nuclear weapons. I'm sure that they will stick to that. Preventing the enrichment of any nuclear material on Iranian territory. 5. Delivery of enriched uranium to the IAEA. What is this? International Atomic Energy Agency. 6. Decommissioning and destroying. Are these nuclear sites? Are these nuclear sites? What is this? Okay, they're like energy infrastructure. Grant the IAEA full access to all information. Iran abandons proxies approach. Stopping funding and arming militias in the region. Keeping the Strait of Hormuz open without any closure. Postponement of decision on ballistic missile program. Ballistic missiles are only used for defense. Lifting all sanctions on Iran. Support the development of a civilian nuclear program. Automatically cancel the threat of reimposition of sanctions. We didn't already say this. This reads like a Christmas wish list. This is like what I really hope happens. This is like Trump's like, I really hope we get all these. This is like what he gave Kushner to go negotiate. Was like, please get these 15 things done. What does Polymarket say? Hold on, before I give any takes. Troops on the ground is flat. Didn't move. And ceasefire. By March 31st, didn't really move, bruh. What is Israeli 12? The Times of Israel Channel 12. It's not, the story isn't even here. It's not on the front page. How is it not on the front page? What? This is like, Cointelegraph did start the bull market. Brother, it's not even on the front page. Why is it not on the front page? Nowhere to be found. It's a free-to-air television channel. I mean, this is insane. I'm sorry. This is nuts. There's no... This is why I'm out of oil. Because it's fucking... You're not going to make money in this market. Iran on potential U.S. ground invasion. For years, we've been awaiting the Americans' entry. We have just one message for the American soldiers. Come closer. That does not sound to me like a ceasefire. Let's just do a quick TL scroll, then I have some takes. We have some stuff to cover. Wait, I want to read this. Seems highly irrational for Iran to open the strait during a ceasefire and forego all negotiating leverage. In that case, Trump would just aim for an indefinite ceasefire. And for that to even get off the ground, Iran would need to know the U.S. is negotiating in good faith, which was proven to be a false belief weeks ago when they attacked during negotiations. The moral of the story is Iran has the leverage here as Trump is crying uncle, not taco. But he will continue to do everything possible to make it seem that's not a case. I mean, this is what we've been saying, but the market is just going to crush you. Okay, a couple. Announcement. When Trump believes that his words are losing power, whoa, crazy take, actually. When Trump believes his words are losing power, he delegates them onto Jared Kushner and others alike who have a fresh health bar of credibility. In the war, there are no rules. Lying is the absolute least of anyone's concern when there are dead bodies in the mix. They will lie as much as they need to. Wow. That's actually a really good take. This is why we closed our fucking oil long, man. Because you're competing. If you are long oil, your counterparty is magic. Okay? Your counterparty is black magic. It is dark magic. You are competing against an entity that isn't even real. You're competing against an idea. We're not even trading oil. You're trading like Trump sentiment is what you're trading. You're trading if you're long oil, you're trading how much do people believe in Trump as a president. You're trading Trump approval rating at this point. That's what you're trading if you're trading oil. You're trading Trump's approval rating, period. That's it. That's what you're trading. You're trading his approval rating. Many commodities traders around the world are asking, Thread Guy, what do you think? Thread Guy this, Thread Guy that. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I will tell you what I think. And in order to articulate what I think, I'm going to bring out my old trusty Microsoft Paint. I think that there is a timeline here. A timeline right now. Okay, there's a deadline, there's a clock. I've been watching too much Professor Jang. I'm arguably one shot, okay? Timeline here is 5 days, okay? And what is significant about 5 days is that in 5 days, 8,000 Marines are going to arrive in Iran. And so the only thing Trump cares about right now, at least it seems, and I wish we had like thought this through when we were trading oil at the beginning, is the whole game here is he's trying to buy time, right? He's trying to buy as much time as possible to do whatever he wants to do, okay? And so there's like 3 outcomes here, honestly. I think there's 3 outcomes. Number one, which is 65% likely on Polymarket, and I feel like every day that goes by that we don't have a ceasefire and we don't have a deal done feels more likely, which is just like ground invasion, right? There's 8,000 Marines on the way to Iran. Take Karg Island, whatever it is. Like number one is just invasion. And when this happens, oil is going to get cooked. I mean, I think, right? The obvious response to this is oil down bad. Okay. You have more wiggle room, I think. At least if I'm thinking about this logically, I'm Trump. You have more wiggle room if Brent is at $95 and if Brent's at 120 when you do this. I mean, oil goes up on the invasion because once we get there, this was originally pitched to us as a 3-day war, right? This was pitched as like a 72-hour war. And so oil rips on this because full-blown escalation. Now, if it was an in and out, we're done, straits open, regime changes happen, Iran's taken. But the assumption is that this lasts a long time. It's like, because this is not in and out. And so this is like the obvious one of the 3. I'm not going to put percents on this because I don't fucking know. But this is option number 1, okay? This happens. It happens on Friday. Friday is the fucking deadline. Second option here is the best outcome for all cases. Trump taco, but for real. This means deal is done, okay? Deal is actually done. Terms don't fucking... Honestly, at this point, I don't really care. If he lies to us or not, terms don't matter. Oil down a ton. Risk up a ton. Now, the thing about this is it doesn't solve... Pregnant Man Soul, what's good? It doesn't solve our like initial problem, which is that AI doom, SaaS apocalypse, stocks are top. Like, it doesn't solve our like initial problems, but it solves our war problem if this gets done. Okay, this is feeling like increasingly likely is probably the best outcome for all sides. No matter what happens, I feel the terms that were laid out in that ceasefire, there's no way we get all of them done because it's clear that Iran can just hold the Strait of Hormuz no matter how hard it takes. But let's just assume this happens. Let's assume they get the terms. This plays out. Okay? Let's play Kahoot! Hey, if somebody wins, I give you like a soul or something. I don't know. How much should I give? Go! Alright. Whoever wins, I'll give you like, how much should I give? Wait. What should I give the winner? What should I give the winner? Alright. I'll give you 2 barrels of crude oil. Whoever wins. 2 barrels of crude oil. Use your name so I know. Alright, I think we gotta go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! Love this shit. Let's go. Nobody cheat. I can't let people are gonna claud it. I'm skipping in 5, 3, 2, 1. Ah! People are gonna cheat, bro. What? Raspberry? Raspberry got the fucking answers, bro. What body of water? Oh, fuck my life. Oh, man. Oh, God. Dude, what the Stupid. I thought it was a trick question. Dude, who said it? Who fucking said it? I'll give a barrel of crude to whoever doxes as green. Just do it. Just say it. Who did it? Come on. Come on. Just say it. Who said it? Who fucking... This was my words. I used to hate this about Kahoot, by the way. There'd be one person like picked yellow, and they'd be like, who did it? And I'd be like, fuck, it was me, it was me. It's like the easiest question ever. Bro, how's Rasmer first? I'm 53 points behind Jackson Ray, who also got the second question wrong. I know that because I got it wrong. Fuck my life. Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Rasmer's actually cheating, bro. Oh. I was first. I had to be first. Dude, how? Bro, Tulip Kid can't fucking win. I'm on a work call taking this stupid quiz. If anyone gets this wrong, you're banned. 25th place. I'm fucking cooking. How many more? I don't know how many more this I can do. Like 10 more. If you get this wrong, I'm done. Dude, you made it too difficult. What? No, this is bullshit. All right, that's fine, I guess. Oh! All right, I'm locked in. I'm fucking locked in. I'm locked the fuck in now. Viblet, don't fucking get this wrong. Do not get this wrong. Bored. I'm in 12th place. Let's fucking go, bro. Oh, do I look have edge because I can see? I don't have a delay. 8th place! 8th place! Sixth place! Nah, they're typing wrong answers in the chat. Ah! I didn't even drop. Bro, you guys can't win. Why are you playing? This is actually whack. You guys can't. You fucking made the question. Nah, you can't answer the next two. You actually can't answer the next two. You fucking made the questions. You can't answer the next two. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. Somebody has to win. You can't win. Actually, you can't. You have to stop. Hey, actually, no. Actually, we're simulating the real trading environment. We're simulating a real trading environment. Okay? This is what we just talked about. There's a Trump admin and a real trading environment. Malcolm, Tulip King, answer. We're simulating a real trading environment. Ah! No, let me answer. Ah! Oh! Cryptocurrency backed by oil. Okay, so remember when I told you that if Trump says the sky's red, the sky's fucking red? Welcome. Dude, in Miles is so fucking whack. Nah, fuck this. Nah. I mean, like, I got it right, but, like, that's so unfair, bruh. Nah. Who approved that? 2 more questions. I'm just fucking... I didn't know. Last question. This is so whack. It's obviously false, right? Finn, where you at? I don't know. It says Finn Clancy, and this says Finn C. Does that count? Does that count? He didn't use the same name. He didn't use the same name, bro. He didn't use the same name. What do you mean from Rasmer's chat? This thread guy's chat. This is the pit. I joined last minute from Rasmer's chat? Dude, stop. What? Guys. All right, first person to say they were Finn C and Kahoot auto wins. Okay, what did I say? 2 barrels of crude? Fuck this, dude. We gotta do this again. I should have had eyes on this shit. 2 barrels of crude is how much? 100 and... Who was in 4th place? You get a barrel of Brent. Malcolm, you fucking guys. All right, Finn C. Hey, send me a soul wallet, Finn C. Or something. Send me something. Whatever. You get 100 and... Wow, this is more than I thought. 192.40. But it's fucking... The only way you can claim is if send me a screenshot of unfollowing Rasmer on Twitter and you can claim. A screenshot of unfollow on Twitter and you can claim. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Peace.